Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule of the Galaxy fans. It is Joe in the pilot seat for episode 240 of the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. 240. Let's see. That's if we were doing one a month, that'd mean we've been going for the past 20 years. But no, we're doing
Not one a month.
but we're not doing one a month. We've been, for the most part, except for a little spot here, there, been doing once a week. So it makes a difference. But we are completing our fourth year as I lose my voice. We're doing our fourth year right now. January, we'll start our fifth year of doing the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. And
Wow.
one of the guys that's been by my side the whole time, almost the whole
Has it
time. Yeah.
has it been five?
Well,
No,
it'll be four
it'd
complete
be
years.
four.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll be starting our fifth year.
Oh, right. You're starting the fourth. No, you'll be starting the fourth, right? Because it was 2020.
2020,
Oh, it
2021.
is 2024. Wow.
So those of
Wow.
you hearing that voice and seeing him while he's painting, that is Mr. Brent Dykman, one of the main crew members of the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. Brent, what are you painting today?
So yeah, there's that Legion game that I play, right? So if you watched or paid attention to last week's, I was talking about Peyton Logray.
Yes.
While I was waiting for everything to fire up, I did some touch-ups on Logray. But there is a I also, if you're a longtime listener, you probably heard me talking about there was a father-son that was playing in a tournament over the summer. And his son has autism and some other spectrum disorders and was very, very shy leading up to playing Legion. And he has opened up since playing. And so I made a Geonosis table because the kid was big into the clones. So he was
Okay.
playing with the clone team. So I made him like a Geonosis themed styrofoam table. And then I asked his dad what he would want, and he is a Hoth guy. So what I have kind of whipped together, it's not even near completion. I'm just kind of putting like a base coat on it. So this is like supposed to be a Hoth um, hangar door,
Sure.
and it is ginormous for the size of the miniatures. The his kid likes to play tanks, so I wanted to make sure that it was big enough that a tank could roll through it. But this is just kind of some terrain pieces. I also then another one I'm gonna kind of put some paint on is like a trench.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it, it's kind of got the trench look to it, so you can go through it and use that for cover. So
Like
I got a
the
few pieces.
rebels on Hoth that were in the trench warfare.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. And I have another one with the big nipple gun that I've kind of created as well. I can't not call it that, right? Thank you, Family Guy.
Yeah, no. It's the
Like,
nipple ion blaster.
how do you not call it the nipple gun?
Yeah, yeah. Nipple ion cannon. Sorry, there's ion
Right.
blasters, but that's an ion cannon. But yes, you are correct. Even though this is sometimes a PG, sometimes an R-rated
Well,
podcast,
look, okay.
it's yeah.
Hey, Gaylord Fokker told me that everybody's got nipples. You can milk me. You want to milk my nipples? I mean, Meet the Fockers taught me that.
This
It's
is true.
everybody's got them. Everybody's got them. We can still be PG.
Going back to that, I mean, there are questions about that. Why do men have nipples? Well, we can get in that at another time, but that for our fans and listeners, please email ruletheGalaxy SW@gmail.com. If there's some kind of
Twitter,
fetish,
rule the galaxy at Twitter. We got a. I don't. Do we got a TikTok? Well, I mean, you can follow D Doc on TikTok. Every now and then he'll throw out Star Wars content. But he's basically the home plumber.
yes.
Uh,
Which, by the way, he just did a bathroom review from his cruise, his Disney cruise that he went on. He reviewed the bathroom in his cabin, which was interesting. So he's going to do a full review with all the video from his cruise, but he did take us into the bathroom of his Disney cruise that he was on recently with his family. So that's a fun one. I still haven't taken all my videos and pictures from Galaxy's Edge. I should combine all those and put them into a YouTube video for us. I need to do that. So, but yeah. So, did you, besides doing good things for people, which it looks like you're doing, did you do anything Star Wars related? Get anything Star Wars related at Christmas time?
So my dearest, my lovely wife knows how sick my fascination with Star Wars is.
Mm-hmm.
She gifted me a baby Grogu Funko Pop,
Oh,
an Amazon exclusive Funko Pop, which I mean it's cool. So it'll go to my shelf at school.
good.
And then I also got the Return of the Jedi certain point of view novel. I
Okay.
read the first one, which was Rod, and
Mm-hmm.
how the Emperor, or not Emperor, yeah. So the how Vader and the Emperor kind of played into it, and how he figured out that they were motivating him and doubling his efforts, and that he figured out that the Emperor really didn't need it to be fully operational. He just needed the weapon to be operational. Um,
I like it.
yeah, and then I started reading Max Rebo, and I lost all interest in reading about Max Rebo. There's it's music. It's a big blue animal. I don't even know if it's an animal. It's a
Well,
big blue thing, and didn't really kind of hold me in.
don't tell that to Hyperspace Heroes. Brown Squadron, Brown Leader, Scruffy, and Droid Bait all love some Max Rebo. So I
Sorry, man.
it to each
Like
their own, right? I mean, to each their
it's
own.
music, man. So so I have this conversation with a lot of people. There's a lot of people that will walk around their house and like listen to music all day. I would rather have movies and TV on in the background as
Mm-hmm.
my background knowledge than anything music. I'm not a huge music lover or buff, which is why you rock the music when we do trivia.
That's right.
Um,
I am the music.
I write the trivia questions and find the trivia questions, and you sync it up to music to have the people have fun. So,
Well, speaking of trivia and speaking of books and things,
ooh,
my daughter Emily gifted me the book of useless information, which let me tell you, I I'm gonna send you some pics of some because it's
so
very quick and
just
easy.
read. So read me one. Read me one. So you just open the
Um,
page. Read me one.
yeah. So the music hall entertainer Nazmo King derived his stage name from a no smoking sign. Nazmo King.
I don't even know who Nasmo King
Yeah.
is, but I like that.
Nick Mason is the only member of Pink Floyd to appear on all the band's albums. The naked baby on the cover of Nirvana's album, Nevermind, is named Spencer Eldon. So this is all
That dude
things.
must be like 35
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So this
Let's try
is
and find Spencer Eldon somewhere. It's Spencer Eldon. If you're listening to us, shoot us a message at
yes,
rulethegalaxy at gmail.com.
yes. I would love to hear from you, Spencer. Here I'll give you one more. Let's see here. The 1980 song Rosanna was written about the actress Rosanna Arquette.
Rosanna, Rosanna, yeah, you lead me all the way.
See, you're usually not the singer, and look at you.
Oh, I
So
can
yeah,
sing ones that I know. I just don't like I music is not like the passion that it has for other people.
this is going to be fun. I'm going to send you some of these for our next trivia, so you can decide if you like them as much as I do. But thank you to Emily for that. My Star Wars Christmas was very slight. I didn't really ask for anything, and I've been trying to, unlike Alfie and DDoc, who are trying to really expand what they're doing, I'm trying to contract what I collect and what I do. And most of my stuff now is things that I grew up with or things that I really enjoyed during the whole COVID era where we were spending wildly and sitting around doing nothing. And now I've got it to the point where I've got the things I want, and I've got things set up for Frankie and Teddy, my grandsons, to where when they're ready to start playing Star Wars, I've got all the stuff they need. But um, I did get a book. My daughter Maddie got me a book. I'm showing it right here
Yeah.
on YouTube. Star Wars Redeemed, and it is Your Life Transforming Journey with Jesus and the Jedi by Bradley Hagen. It came out in 2015. I usually see and hear about pretty much all things Star Wars, and I missed this completely. Of course, I wasn't running a podcast at that time, so I probably wasn't looking as in depth. But I've read a couple of chapters already. It's fairly interesting. A lot to take in. It reminds me a lot of the Stephen Kent
Yeah, I was gonna say
book.
it's a different take on this similar topic, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So I've already let Scott Rifen, Steve Glosson, the Duchess, and Stephen Kent. I've already sent all of them a picture of this and said, "Who of you have read this?" And none of them had. And
okay,
three of them were already saying, "Hey, where did you get that?" And I said, "My daughter got it at a religious bookstore. So go see what you can find." So they're all interested in reading it. And I mean, like you're looking at from a certain point of view. This is just another
yeah.
point of view about Star Wars. So
I mean, what Certain Point of View came out what, like 5, 6 years ago? I feel like, or no, not even that. It was during the podcast because I remember Shesky, who's our avid reader, talking
yeah.
about it.
Well, they've made one for each of the main trilogy, right? Or the original trilogy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm.
So I think they did it what
It was for
20.
the 40th. It was, I think, it was for
Mm-hmm.
the 40th. It was, I think, it was for the 40th of Return.
Yes,
And then they released all of them, but I think the idea came from the Return
correct.
of the Jedi's 40th.
So yeah, I haven't read any of those, so I really want to hear how that is for you because
You
I,
haven't
I
read it?
haven't read any of them, the New Hope, Empire, or that one. I've never take. Oh, there's my dog. Hold on a second. I will unmute now, and hopefully he won't bark many more times. So yeah, so
Reminds
that
me
was
of
it.
Mark
Yeah.
Anthony Austin and his big bear dog in the background.
Which I tell you what, bringing up Mark, I reached out to pretty much all of our guests from last year.
Hmm.
Like I said, we had 35 guests. Told
That's
them all
crazy.
Merry Christmas from Rule the Galaxy. Told them love to talk to you again in the future. Pretty much everybody was like, "Hey, we're in. Just let us know when."
Yeah.
So it's exciting and interesting to see that we built these relationships with people, and just really
All right.
interested to see where it goes and who else we add.
So there's roughly 52 weeks in a year, and we've had 34 guests. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
We
like what, 3/5 of our shows have somebody that we've attached to.
Yeah, I mean, we just come on. We try to spice it up. Every now and then we do an extra show, right? And when we do that, we add somebody. But yeah. So it's been good, and there's going to be right now. It's kind of a slow time, as you and I discussed before we hopped on. There's not a lot going on in the Star Wars world or universe right now, but there's always 2024 to look forward to. And no, there's not going to be a movie, but there'll be for the book lovers. There'll be some new books for the animated shows. There'll be a couple of those for the live action. There'll be a couple of those. So we do have some things to look forward to. And yeah, and let's think here in 2025, that will be the 10-year anniversary of of Force Awakens, and the 20th anniversary of is that the 20th? It is the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So there'll be a lot going on in 2025.
It's
Um,
also Japan, right?
I believe so. Yes, I believe
Right.
Japan's
Celebration
2025. Yeah.
Japan.
So yeah, but well, I'll just while we're sitting here and just jibber jabbering, I'll throw out a few things, some things that I was looking at. So obviously, he was talking about 2024, the Skeleton Crew show with Jude Law, either an A or B list actor. Um, that's coming out in 2024. My question already looking ahead though is this was filmed quite a long time ago
Yeah.
and it's got kids in it. So if they are going to do a season 2 of that in the future, they're going to have to do some kind of time jump between season 1 and season 2, like 3 years later or 5 years later this occurs, because those kids, if this was being filmed in 2021 or whatever, and now we're going into 2024 and it's just being released. You've seen the Stranger Thing kids, how much they've changed over the years. How much are these kids going to change by season 2 if they make a season 2?
Who says it's got to be linear, right? I mean, even our new creative director says that like some stories aren't have don't have one. He said some stories don't have to be told, and two, like he's all about like non-linear storytelling. Um, so yeah, like I mean, sure. And I guess the other part too is who says that there has to be a season two? I mean, I think it's just wishful thinking that we want to have season two. But if you look at a lot of stuff, I'm trying to think of like the Marvel stuff. A lot of the Marvel stuff
Hmm.
was one hitters. But that was in the Disney Chapek era, not in the Iger era. So
I think you're right on that with the Iger era back and tightening the belt strings a little bit. See, I put purse strings and belt together, all the belt strings. But tighten things up like that and maybe not needing everything they're talking about. And if you looked at where all of these Mandalorian era shows are going to piecemeal together, possibly into that future Filoni movie, maybe they only do one season and then pile them into the movie when it's time.
I chuckle because of the future Filoni movie. Like I don't even want to have that conversation because I was sitting around, I think it was last Friday, the 22nd of December or 23rd of December. I was looking all over my social medias, and what did my wandering eyes come across? Oh, it was the opening day for Rogue Squadron,
Oh,
uh, right? So, like, understanding that the movie industry is crazy and understanding that if you haven't heard from an actor, let's go Samuel L. Jackson. You
mm-hmm.
if you haven't heard from an actor, that's probably because he's shooting 2 and 3 different movies that won't come out for another 3 years. Like it takes 3 years for a movie to come to go from being shot to go through the editing process to go through then the production process to get it to the films.
Right.
Like it takes time. Like you would say, like, man, where have they been? Well, they were out filming. You just haven't heard from them because they were filming. When they're talking on all the shows and when you see them is because they're in between projects.
I'm good with that. I agree.
And so when you say this upcoming Filoni movie,
I
like
put air quotes.
I know, but like it all that's going to do for every Star Wars fan that knows about it is just irritate them to high end when or if it doesn't come to fruition. Because another thing about movie making is like there's 1,000 movies that get greenlit. Some of them even get shot and cut, but then they never get released. Like it's like they won't talk about them for a couple years afterwards, but I don't know. It's just the movie industry is
Yeah.
not doesn't work on what the general public wants it to work on. It works on its own timeline and does its own thing.
Yeah. Well, you are correct. And I know I'm not a movie mogul. I don't run a
I'm not a
studio or
movie
anything like
mogul
that.
either, but I just listen to like I listening to the actors and listening to the way things have made. I'm telling like when I was in college, there was this thing called the movie stock exchange, and that's yeah, it was a game, right? So, but there was like a you could get like fake money, and then you would buy stocks in movies and like or actors and actresses, and like if there was a project that was coming up, you could buy low and hope that they would like jump out of the moon. But when I was on there, there was like there's always like speculation of the next one. Like so this was in college. I'm trying to think it was like way before Incredibles 2 came out or something like that. There was like an Incredible 2 that you could buy into low hoping that it would get made, not knowing that it would get made. But there are some that like even when you go and look at like the list, they'll say in production. But just because it's in production doesn't mean that it's past. I mean, there might even be a director and a like some projects go through 4 or 5 directors before they even get to being to the point where they get filmed. It's just the nature of the industry is just so flighty that it takes a while to actually get to the filming process. And then even if it's filmed, it's not likely to be produced and sent out to the theaters. I mean, heck, I worked at Hollywood Videos for a number of years. How many
Hmm.
movies went direct to DVD?
Oh yeah. No, I
Right? So they're like now they go direct to streaming. How many of those like I mean, Rebel Moon never made it to the theater.
yeah. No, see, you're talking about going straight to DVD. I was at Blockbuster well before you were at Hollywood Video, and I was getting straight to VCR tape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was old school, man. But I tell you what, one of the times that I was most passionate about movies was when I worked part-time there because
Mm-hmm.
you got 5 free rentals a week.
Yep.
Man, I
And you got the
stacked up.
pre-streets too, dude.
Oh
It was the
yeah.
pre-streets, right? So like, but here's the thing about the pre-streets: the movie had already been in the theaters. You'd already seen the movie, but now it's like a year almost since it was in the theater. So you're watching it again. So you have those like you have that in like I want to call it nostalgia, but it's not truly nostalgia, but you have that like you have that ability to reminisce of back when it was watching when you were watching it.
Right.
It's kind of like music, right? Like they'll play the song of the summer and play that song to death. But then like and like you recite it and then it gets to the point where you want to vomit. You've heard it so many times, right? But then the next summer when they play it, you're like, oh, remember this, and like you have those memories of where you were and what happened with it. And Ryfin said it on our place. It's criminal what they're doing with the movies now because of
Yeah.
how quickly they go to streaming. You don't build up that anticipation for the movie to come out.
You know what's funny is you were talking about songs of the summer, and I'm going to age myself here. Gosh, just thinking of the Casey Kasem top 40 and then the Rick D's top 40 that every weekend you waited to hear that. So kids, if you're listening, we used to wait until the weekend to hear the top 40 countdown of the songs and they'd play them in order and you would wait and see if your favorite one, the one you were rooting for, made it all the way to number 1. Yes,
So
we date ourselves.
so my just to go uh another step on that one. My father got like he got caught up in a corporate reassignment my senior year of high school. My parents, it was his 97, 98. My parents were nice enough to let me go back. They got a car and let me go back, travel back and forth to my friend's place in Illinois. So I was driving from Bloomington, Indiana to Peoria, Illinois, which is about a 3.5 hour drive,
Mm.
pretty much every other weekend. So I was driving back and forth. Well, Casey's top 40 would pick up in Bloomington, and then by the time I hit like Terre Haute, it
Mm-hmm.
would be so I would get to like 40 to 20, and then I'd hit Terre Haute and I would hear 40 to 20, and then I would get to Champaign, Illinois, and I would hear 40 to 20. Right. So I was driving like each different time zone had it different at or each different location because it was syndicated had it at different places. So I would hear the Casey's top 40. So Torn by Natalie and Bruglia is
Oh,
and Chumbawamba's I Get Knocked Down were popular on those top 40s, and so they are cemented and seared into my brain.
lovely. I love when we get to peel back a little bit of the onion with you and I and look at those 1980s and 1990s throwbacks there. It's
Oh,
great. So,
I
um,
get knocked down, but I get up again. Can anybody keep me down?
I believe, Brent, at that time I was
You probably had kids.
Joey was around
Yeah.
when that song was out. He used to dance around to that song as a little kid. So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
I can see that. I can see that.
hey, next topic, the Acolyte,
Yeah.
the other 2024. So, looking at it, it's going to happen 100 years.
Before,
Wow.
right? 100 years before.
Yeah, it
Would
just
you say,
said
wow?
if for some reason our meeting just popped up and said we have 10 minutes left. That doesn't sound right.
Oh, we might. Okay. I mean, it
Yeah.
might be the 45 minute, or we'll see.
Yeah, we might hop out
We,
of this here
we,
sooner
we
than later.
might we might have to reach out to the old Nick Shesky and see what's going on.
It's
What's going
okay.
on with
We'll
that?
go through. Hey, you know what? If that's the case, let's zoom through. Let's give
Yeah, I
people
mean,
what
it
they
is
pay for.
right.
Acolyte,
Your money,
100 years
the Joe
before
show.
100 years before the Phantom Menace. The end of the High Republic, much darker, more of an adult show. It all sounds good to me. It sounds okay. It sounds to me like Andor with a mixture of Jedi and Sith.
I want one thing, and
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of it. I want to see it in live action. I want to see the Wookiee Jedi.
Okay.
I want to see the Wookiee Jedi.
Hey, I'm all for
That's
it.
it. That's it. I'm excited to see how they're gonna work in a Wookiee Jedi.
Brent, I can tell you this once we see the Acolyte, and in 2029, when the character comes out, I am going to buy you the Black Series 6-inch Wookiee Jedi when it comes out.
Nah, he won't be there. I mean, I'm telling you, they're gonna stop making toys.
Yeah.
I just went through and they have a bunch of Ahsoka toys on the shelf at our Target.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a bunch of there was a Morgan Elsbeth and there was also like I it was the Luke with the Grogu and the frogs coming up.
Okay.
That wasn't that expensive.
Well, I'll have to go
I
check it
mean,
out.
it was
Don't tempt me.
27. It was
Don't tempt me.
27, right? That was 27. That one was when it had box art. Morgan Elsbeth had a bubble on it though.
Um, Okay. Well, again, Alfie, if you're listening, there you go. We need to know, will you go to Target and buy some of those things? Because Joe is on a spending freeze right now.
They had an
So,
Ezra, they had an old Ezra, and I think they
okay.
had an Ahsoka.
I love that you're still going to check those.
My
You
daughter
know,
was shopping with my dad, so I went and like got lost and looked at it for a minute.
completely understand. We got a request from, since I'm doing some top 10 lists, we got a request from
Hmm.
Rural Farm Boy, and he said he wanted to know about our top 10 or our rankings of cosplay.
Sure.
Um,
See, I think you're taking it wrong. I think your mind goes straight to the gutter.
no,
You're in the gutter because while the I would rank the Chiss female
yes,
from, but it's not
yes,
necessarily because she was smoking hot, which I mean she was easy on the eyes, but she intimidated the crap out of me because those red eyes are
uh,
intimidating as hell.
they are.
And I would be scared if I ever ran into an actual Chiss because one, they don't exist, and two, those red eyes are creepy. So I would put
Yeah,
her on the top up there. When I saw the Jar Jar walking around a couple years
yeah.
ago at ICC, I was like, "That's awesome."
We've got Rick
Um,
Prince who did Darth Maul. We've got the
uh,
gentleman who was Count Dooku.
I mean, when I saw a Jawa that was my height, and then I said, "You're a little tall to be a Jawa," just kind of trying to be funny, and he hit his the speaker and it went ooh, and I was like, oh my god, like that just made my day right there when like the Ewok talked to me, or the Ewok, sorry, the Jawa
Jawa.
talked to me in Jawaiese. That was amazing. I had to go buy another Legion toy because I didn't know there was a Shadow of the Empire Royal Guard or a
Mm-hmm.
Shadow Guard. I didn't know they were black with the red visor. I only knew of the red Crimson Guard, and then you had the Senate Guard, which was in blue.
Blue. Yep.
And then so I knew those two, but I didn't know anything about
Well, yeah,
the Shadow Guard, so I had to go buy
let's
more so I could have a Shadow Guard.
let's do this. We'll make it to where Alfie doesn't share some of the cosplay that he follows so much. And I'll go look back at the ICCC from the last 2 years, and I'll grab some of the pictures from there. And me, you, D Doc, and Alfie can look and see what we thought were some of the best out of those, since we've seen those over the past few years. Let's do that. We can do
That's
that.
why, like, so it doesn't have to be just the ones that are on the internet and the Mara Jades and the pink. I saw one just the other day. There was a pink Twi'lek, um, and like pink leggings, pink arm. Like so, when I say leggings, there's like pink bottom, pink arms,
Right.
and then the pink headdress. It doesn't just have to be the Twi'leks.
I
But I
Okay. Well, rural farm boy, consider it done. We'll figure out a way
I
to
mean, I
do that.
also like the Tie pilots, right? Like some
Hmm.
like all of the 501st that put the effort that they have to put into it, right? The quality and the Obi-Wan, what is Damien Wan Kenobi was talking about it
Yeah.
too. The process that you have to go through to get approved to be able to wear it is insane. So the amount of time that people put into it, it deserves to have something talked about. And even Rural Farm Boy told us when he was on a couple
He
years
used to
ago
do, yeah, he used to
that he
do
was a
the,
501st or
yep.
stormtrooper. I will say that stormtroopers aren't as cool as maybe the scout troopers or the tie pilots. Sorry, those are kind of two of my favorite helmets. Would
Me
be
too.
scout trooper and tie pilot. Uh,
Okay.
but
I've got the picks. I'll share them with you guys. We'll vote. We'll put it together off of that stuff. We've got plenty to choose from. And we can still remain
and it doesn't even have to stay
PG.
within. It doesn't even have to stay within the Star. To me, cosplay doesn't have to stay within the Star Wars world because I've walked around at a couple other conventions and see people in their cosplays. Um, but yeah.
Okay. Before our time shuts down because it's just moving that way. So Tim Morrison came out and said, not sure if there's even going to be a book of Boba Fett 2. Okay. Thank you, Tim. If you're hiding the story you don't want us to know, great. But if you don't know, we'll go from there. Did you see the story about Star Wash? Star Wash. A gentleman started a car wash company in Chile. He had been to Galaxy's Edge recently, and his daughter said, "Wouldn't that be a cool name for a car wash?" So he started it, not only does the logo look like Star Wars, but he's been having characters cosplay and come and promote it. Lucasfilm
Is
is
he getting
presently,
sued?
yes, Lucasfilm is
Oh, I mean,
presently
come on,
suing
man.
him.
Come on, man. You got to make it a little bit different. You got
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I thought that was very funny
So
though. Yeah.
yeah, because that's funny also because I've tried to reach out to 501st and the local Indiana 501st has
Mm-hmm.
said that they don't do anything commercial.
Yeah.
That they try to stay away from, like, if it was a volunteer event or if it was for charity or it was, they try to stay into that because they feel like, I think they also got word that Lucasfilm doesn't like them to do things that are for money. So he's
Probably.
just having random people come in like a Darth Vader
Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a
No,
sanctioned
no, no, no.
501st because, but it's also chilly too. So he's like, we can get away from that.
That's
It's
right.
chilly. They're not gonna.
Chile.
They're
It's
not
far
gonna
enough
find
away.
me. They're not gonna find me in Chile.
Hey,
Yeah, they will.
you are younger than me. So do you remember the West End Games Star Wars role playing games?
They talk about it all the time at the shop because like these people, some of these people have been playing these games
Oh yeah.
for like 20 some 30 some years. So I've heard of it. I know that that role playing game, it was good at the time, but then they stopped.
Sure.
The problem is everything when it stops getting support from the company, everybody kind of just bails on it and moves on to the next big thing that is getting promoted from the company. So when they dropped it from its production and stopped making rules for it and stuff like that, it lost some of its. I want to say it was like in the 88, 89, something like that.
It was at around the 10th year anniversary, so like 87, that area.
Yeah.
But we all us older people, we call that the dark times, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: Mark Newbold at Fantha Tracks, if you want, go read the article he wrote about it. Um, he basically was saying a lot of what we have in Star Wars today, and a lot of the things that happened in the
Mm-hmm.
90s and the early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
came because those games really
Mm-hmm.
fleshed out. Like we only knew Hammerhead is Hammerhead, but it's an Ithorian. We only knew Walrus Man is Walrus Man, but it was an Aqualish, right? Uh, those games filled in those blanks for 5 6 years when we had nothing else going on. So, but yeah.
I'll take it another ring too. I've seen pictures of the fleet troopers that they used in that game, and they're the
Mm-hmm.
same model and sculpt that are being used in the Legion. So like the sculpt is, it's not the same, but it's this like the models and the miniatures have left an impact on the fact that somebody like, oh, this is cool. Why recreate the wheel when we can just kind of resculpt something that has already existed?
Very
So
cool.
I so there's a lot of that there. There's a lot of like stealing, riffing type
Well,
of thing.
I'm getting a notice that we're getting ready to shut down. So, guess what, guys? It's a short version. We're going to say hi and goodbye.
We have hope. Hope that things will get better. And they will. Especially since you're listening to Rule the Galaxy podcast.
Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans. It is Joe, this time sitting solo. Sorry that we had to cut short the quick little show that we were doing with Brent and I. We will work to repair that and get that all set up. For some reason, clicked the wrong buttons and our Zoom call wasn't as long as I had planned. So I didn't want to just end on an abrupt half sentence. So I thought I would finish up with real quick, just saying, thanks for always giving us a follow. Thanks for giving us a listen. We really appreciate everybody who's involved with the Rule of the Galaxy crew, whether it's D-Doc, Alfie, Brent, myself, Nick Shesky, and all the guests we've had in the past 4 years. Thanks to everybody there. But also just, wanted to end it the way it should be ended. And that's with me, saying thanks, closing up shop, and then also saying my typical close, which is until next week, may the force be with you.